Welcome to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. Three Precious Miracles provides Native youth a connection to their culture with a variety of activities and events to take part in, on or off the reservation. In the studio to tell us more is Alicia Manuel, founder and president of Three Precious Miracles. Hello, Alicia.
Hi.
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona.
Yes, thank you so much for allowing me to be here and share my heart and story with you.
I know you are so incredibly passionate, and Three Precious Miracles is like the most amazing organization. But before we go into all that, how did you get started? What's your journey, and why did you start Three Precious Miracles?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I am married to my high school sweetheart, Tecumseh Manuel from Gila River Indian Community. We've been together for 28 years, married 21 years, and we have 3 beautiful children. So that's where the journey starts, is with our kids, Tecumseh, Precious, and Micah. And we're blessed to be their parents. And so the organization is after our kids, our blessings.
So that where the 3 comes from?
Yes, yep.
And the Precious Miracles?
Yep, 3 Precious Miracles, Tecumseh, Precious, and Micah.
Okay.
Their first initials.
Oh, TPM. Okay, yes. I got that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to back up a little bit. Tell me a little bit. I know you just got an award. Can you tell us what that was, or is that not public knowledge?
So I just got an award this past week from Peer and Family Group. This was on Tuesday. And then actually I'll be getting another award from the Phoenix Indian Center for the Volunteer of the Year Award, which will be recognized in November. And I just feel so very honored and humble that my peers, that my Native community is recognizing me to that degree. So I'm so thankful.
That is their big awards. Yeah, their big awards dinner. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I like, seriously, like, I was just crying because it's like I've gotten awards from other people and from the Adopt US Kids last year. And then I was even recognized as a CNN hero in 2024 as one of their top 10 CNN heroes. But to be recognized.
Right. You're on CNN.
Yeah. So
which is a big one. National news, CNN, everybody. Yep, I did see that.
Yeah. Right. And it just like when Phoenix Indian Center reached out, it's just like a whole nother level, because it's like your own people are wrapping their arms around you and saying they got you and they believe in the work that you're doing. So it's been a blessing from national to community.
Congratulations. You deserve it. So let's talk about Three Precious Miracles. How and why did you start Three Precious Miracles?
So Three Precious Miracles is grassroots. When we were blessed to be the parents to our first little baby, he came to us when he was just 5 days old, and I was given a borrowed car seat and was told, you have 48 hours to give this car seat back to us. And I was like, how does this happen? And so I told my friends and family to stop donating their things to Goodwill and Savers, but to give it to me so I could wash it and clean it, because in local communities and in Native communities, there wasn't like a resource bank. And so we had to travel like over an hour to receive resources. And so we started a clothing bank out of my garage. So all my friends and family would donate their things to me, and we would wash it and clean it. And then honestly, the organization has morphed into providing cultural stuff, cultural opportunities, engagements, to our youth that are in care. And so, that's basically how it started, getting clothes, and then started providing cultural opportunities.
Do you guys still, and I think I just had a call this morning, somebody looking for resources. Do you still do like clothing and things like that? Or have you just completely gone into the cultural side? All right.
I'm so excited to actually tell you about this. But so now we have like a clothing bank in Casa Grande it's called Casa Grande Threads. And so it's like a little thrift store. So when people donate their stuff, they're donating to the thrift store, and people can go there as long as they have a referral from me. And any proceeds that we get is going right back into the organization. So yes, we still can provide those things. And I can't believe it's 10 years and now we're doing it in a whole different type of way.
That's awesome. I mean, it is so needed right now. And I think especially as resources are drying up, like literally we had a call this morning, like what do we do about car seats and what do we do about diapers and formula? Like there's nothing. Right. Yeah. And so, so for the families that you're dealing with, they are all in like, whether you want to call it foster care or whatever, correct?
Yeah, foster care, group homes. I work with group homes, and I work with kinship families. So it's really above. It's
all anything.
All. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, do you have any statistics about youth entering the foster care system and why it's important to include cultural identity programming?
Yeah, so the state of Arizona has just under 10,000 children in foster care.
Wow.
And 10% of that population is actually our Native youth in care. And so that doesn't only represent our 22 tribes here in Arizona. We actually have other Native kids from other communities outside of Arizona that reside here that are in our foster care system. But that 10% does not represent our tribal communities, our TSS programs, because of sovereignty. So we don't report those numbers to the state. So I always tell people, I want you to think about, we have 22 tribes here, and if each tribe just had 100, that's 2,200 kids that are in care plus the other 1,000. So those are the current statistics, and we need more foster parents to take in our Native youth.
And I know Salt River, and I know this wasn't one of the questions we had talked about. I know that Salt River was doing a whole thing, or they often do, like on kinship and training foster parents. I don't know if other tribes do that as well, or organizations.
Yep. So right now, we have several tribal communities that are all seeking tribal Native foster parents. So like Gila River has a group. There's Navajo Nation. There's Salt River. There's different of our tribal agencies that are recruiting to license foster parents. And if you don't get licensed with the tribal community, then you can also get licensed with one of our providers that the state licenses.
So you would know, so if somebody was interested in being a foster parent, let's say out at Gila River or wherever, Navajo, but they could call you and you would be able to put them in touch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I used to be a foster care recruitment manager for 4 years. So I got to help foster recruit families. I've written home studies to help families navigate that process. But just recently, I decided that I wanted to run the organization full time, but I still actively sit on the DCS advisory board and also the DCS recruitment team for the state of Arizona to really help them find more Native foster homes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not know that about you. All right. Okay. So it sounds like you work obviously with DCS, and then do you also work with tribal courts?
So with tribal courts, there's two ICWA courts for our state. We have Pinal County and Maricopa County. I'm very active in Maricopa County's ICWA unit, and we have different tribal individuals sitting at the table. So it's a group. I don't want to call it a coalition, but it is a team of individuals that are actively trying to provide resources and services for the families that live off reservations.
And I know Maricopa just did an event, right, that you were involved with at the Herd Museum, right?
Yeah. I got to be an MC there and bring all the people together and help with that. And it was a lot of fun. It was really, really beautiful. We had kids walk away with brand new ribbon skirts and activities and books. And it was really amazing event. And food, of course.
We were there and we heard it was a great, I mean, I wasn't there, but our staff was there. And they said it was just an amazing event. And you did a great job on that one too.
Thank you.
So yeah, all kinds of things. If somebody knows someone who is either in kinship, foster care, or a group home, do they just pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, I know this youth that could use your services, or is it the parent, or is it the group home? How does the process work?
So for Three Precious Miracles, I basically just answer the phone. So my personal cell phone number is honestly out there. They can send me a direct message online, send me an email, and if we have resources that they're needing, then we definitely provide that. If we don't, I have a lot of amazing nonprofit other organizations that provide these types of resources for our kids in care. So there's people in Phoenix and Scottsdale and Mesa, and again, I'm all the way in Casa Grande, so if it's not local to them, I refer them to one of my trusted partners.
And I know you do a lot of work about getting the word out to the community, and I believe you've got an upcoming powwow. Is that correct?
So we actually have an upcoming gala that's coming up in December.
Okay.
Yep, we have a gala coming up, and then every year we do an event called Affordable Christmas, and that's where we are always seeking donations for toys, and families can come to receive Christmas from us. Again, Affordable Christmas. So we have our gala if anybody's interested, and then also our Affordable Christmas.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. So let's say you've got a family or if you have a child or a youth in foster care, tell me, like, if I felt like they were in a group home here and they needed Christmas, then that would be the appropriate call, like to call you and say, hey, my son is in a group home in Phoenix and needs some Christmas toys. Is that?
Yep, they can reach out to me, and we will definitely either invite them to the event, because it's an event that's open to families all over. I've had people come from Globe to Gilbert to come and meet me. Last year, we served 385 kids. My goal this year is to receive 1,500 toys and serve 500 kids. So each child should receive 3 toys each.
But again, they have to be in one of those.
Nope. Actually, we, if they're group home, foster home, kinship care, or even if we have a family that's a single mom and needing services, we really want to try to help them too.
Wow.
But majority is our foster kids, because
It's
that's
foster
where people
kids?
know me from. Yep.
Okay. Do you often, and again, not a question I was going to ask you, but I'm just curious. I know there's some groups in town that do different things for when kiddos get into the foster care system, like sleeping bags or things like that. Do you ever help with that? Is that ever anything anybody asks?
Yeah. So we've had have received requests for like
For stuffed animals or something?
Yep. So we've received requests for bags, quilts. We have this really cool project that I'm very, very proud of. It started just about 10 years ago with one of my friend partners, Cook Native American Ministries, helped me, where a child would get a quilted blanket with their tribal affiliation on it. So for instance, cool. It would say, Alicia from White Mountain Apache community, you'll always be connected to your cultural roots. And the reason for that is because when kids are in foster care, they get bounced around to so many homes. Well, nobody's going to want to steal your blanket with your name on it. So we knew and we felt that a child's blanket with their tribal affiliation and represent who they are, they'll always make sure that blanket is with them. So that's one project that I am so proud of that I have never seen anybody else do.
That's very cool. Is Cook still doing that?
They sponsored to start the project, and we're still doing that for the organization. So they gave me a grant to buy a quilted machine or quilted.
So, all right, another question that I didn't have on the list. If somebody was interested and wanted to volunteer and get involved, are you looking for help for these projects?
Always, always, always. So I'm always looking for help. So just get a hold of me if they could facilitate and hold a donation drive, if by any means, is always helpful, but I'm always looking for helpers.
Okay. I know I don't have a ton of time, but I do want to ask you a couple quick questions. One, you said you've got the gala coming up, and that's when? December
6th, yep, in Gila River at their Shelby building.
Okay. And then the other one is the Christmas is in December also?
Yep. That's going to be with my friends at Keller Williams in Gilbert on December 13th. So we're looking for toys if anybody wants to donate toys for that or come to our gala.
Okay. All right. So how can listeners find out more information about Three Precious Miracles and contact you?
Yeah, they can contact me by going to my website, threepreciousmiracles.org, or they can get a hold of me online through any of my social media channels. Send me a direct message. My email is very easy. It's elisiamanuel@gmail.com. So ELISIAMANUEL@gmail.com.
Okay, and your social media handles?
Elicia Manuel. Very simple.
Okay.
Manuel.
But not Three Precious Miracles.
There is one for Three Precious Miracles, yes. So LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook is my favorite. But yeah, and then if you go straight to my website, there's a donation page on there or a contact page on there to get a hold of me.
But the big thing is get involved, right?
Just get involved, get a hold of me. I attended an event this weekend. I'm thinking I just want to run up to everybody and give them hugs and say hi because they're so amazing. But I don't know. I just just get a hold of me.
And support the kids.
Support, yeah, because we're truly making a difference right now. We're making a huge difference in the group homes and spending time with them and providing talking circles, sacred space with them. So if anything, I have some major projects with Sacred Circle for the group homes, window tinting class with my friends in Ahwatukee, Pure Luxury, and then, just the gala. Like, this is our first ever, and we're celebrating 10 years, and I just feel like Creator saying we're going to make things amazing for you for 2026.
You are.
I hope so.
Congratulations. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. It's a blessing and an honor.
Coming up next on Native Talk Arizona, we'll talk with Holly Patterson with Change Labs, fostering business growth across Native communities. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix. 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 8800 North 22nd Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. And Native Health provides primary medical services at the new Guadalupe Health Center, 6725 South Priest Drive in Guadalupe. Native Health provides primary medical, dental, behavioral health, WIC, and wellness services for the urban Native American community. For more information, call 602-279-5262 or visit our webpage at nativehealthphoenix.org.
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. Change Labs, located in Tuba City, fosters business growth across Native communities, equips entrepreneurs with the skills to strengthen their ideas, and unlocks opportunity with culturally relevant lending. On the phone today is Holly Patterson with Change Labs. Holly, welcome to Native Talk Arizona.
Hi, it's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Change Labs is amazing, and I've kind of watched over the past few years everything that you all have been doing and your brick and mortar and everything else. But before we get started, tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and how you ended up at Change Labs.
Yes. So here at Change Labs, I'm the Entrepreneurial Resource and Strategic Capital Manager at Change Labs. And really kind of what that means is that I'm focusing on reshaping financial systems to not be extractive, trust-based, and really reflective of Indigenous values. How my journey to Change Labs, it was kind of, honestly, I think if anything, right time, right situation all across, because I graduated from Dartmouth College. And when I went off to college, coming from this community of the Navajo Nation in the Four Corners area of Farmington, New Mexico, I really wanted to make an impact in my community, but I didn't really know how. At first, I started in healthcare, and as I kind of fell in love with my sports and also too understanding that that was like a huge kind of drive in the community that I was, grown up in, that I really kind of wanted to figure out how to market sports. And then from that journey into marketing across, that led me to New York City, and also to with educational resources and understanding how we translate that through marketing. And then the COVID pandemic kind of blowing me back into my home community here in New Mexico. Through just a network of connections of other Indigenous women who really kind of were helpful in mentoring me, coaching me, and also to just wonderful of opening up their own networks to me, I came in contact with the co-founders of Change Labs and was honestly blown away by the work that they were doing, and really kind of saw a lot of individuals in my my community, but also too in my own family that were entrepreneurs but didn't consider themselves as entrepreneurs. And that kind of really pushed me to understand, well, what is Change Labs doing? How can I best help and really kind of create an impact within my Native community here in the Four Corners area, but also too across the Navajo Nation and other Indigenous, economies. So that kind of led me to this wonderful kind of journey with Change Labs and entrepreneurship, and also too just like creating an impact of creating sustainable economies across tribal lands and on tribal lands.
Wow, you've done so much, and I was watching some of your social media last week. I don't know if it was yours or Change Labs. It must have been Change Labs, but really impressed with all the stuff that you're doing. But let's take a step back. Tell me, what does Change Labs do? What services do they provide, and who can use them?
Yes, definitely. It is quite a question that I get whenever a lot of people don't know about what Change Labs is, because, based off of the name, it's a little hard to decipher what exactly that we do. But I always say that we have 4 pillars of Change Labs, and 2 of them that are most common for direct services of the public to stumble into. The first and foremost is essentially our entrepreneurial resources. We used to run them through an incubator program, and to those who don't know what an incubator program is, it's typically something to incubate a business. So we took an idea from an entrepreneur, and then we tried to help them with all the resources that we have around entrepreneurship, whether it's business compliance, opening up our network of other Native professionals to help them with that, or even to business bookkeepers, CPAs, and even to connecting them with the right individuals in the Navajo Nation for compliance to run their business and operate their business on the Navajo Nation. But it's not just limited to that. We know that there's also 2 resources from the state level to also federal resources for those who want to be a nonprofit. And so Change Labs kind of emerged as this bridge between all of those entities for entrepreneurs who felt like they really kind of needed one-on-one help. And if there was current resources that were not essentially delivering that, that's where we came in. We build things that are culturally relevant to Native businesses that are growing within rural economies, also too on reservational lands, and understanding all the trials that go with that, and even to the successes that go with that, and how to highlight those. So we have that one pillar of entrepreneurial resources and business incubation, which also too individuals can receive those services not just through online and hybrid services of our workshops that we provide through Zoom and in person, but also too through our co-working space. As you mentioned, Change Labs has a brick and mortar in Tuba City, but we also too earlier this summer or late this summer, we opened up our second location in Shiprock, New Mexico, so in the eastern part of the Navajo Nation reservation, so residing in the New Mexico side. So we're really kind of trying to be accessible on all points to entrepreneurs who are residing on the reservation or even too close to those border towns. But the second one, of course, that a lot of individuals probably have heard of us in the most recent past 2 years is our lending work that we've done. Change Labs had started with microloans up to $5,000, and we kind of built a network of individuals that have gone through our incubator services to then graduating into our micro lending services, building a small community that we're calling alumni. But then it kind of wonderful opportunities happen that we are partnered with the Navajo Nation government to help them deploy something called the SSBCI, which is Small State Business Credit Initiative, that we are helping with deploying funds from that allotted loan program to Navajo-specific business owners across the United States. So a lot of individuals have heard of this initiative, and so they've reached out to us as far as wide from Alaska to Wisconsin, Texas, and also to parts of the West Coast in California to apply through our lending program because they're majority Navajo business owned or Navajo-owned business or majority controlled nonprofit to essentially get into our lending work that way. So we're really kind of excited about this, and if anybody has more information or wants to know more information, they can contact us through nativestartup.org/NSBCI, stating Navajo Small Business Navajo Small Business Credit Initiative. Sorry about that. But yeah, and then after that, all of the information that we essentially do working with our entrepreneurs, we collect that so that we're able to go to our, whether it's small leadership, large leadership, government leadership, and federal leadership to talk about essentially the barriers to entrepreneurship on the Navajo Nation, but also to those in rural economies and how we need to create a lot more accessible policies for entrepreneurs who are trying to build stable economies in these areas. And so I think that's one of the great missions of Change Labs Lab that a lot of people don't know about is like, they're like, wow, you get to work with entrepreneurs at such a one-on-one level. You guys also do lending work. That's wonderful. But what makes you guys different? And it's like, well, we try to analyze the data that we're kind of getting from these wonderful businesses that we're working with to really kind of go and make sure that we're creating sustainable policies and also procedures and make it a lot more transparent for entrepreneurs to understand like where they're going through, and not that this is exclusatory. Instead, that they're also not just actors within this process, but they're also stakeholders within this process, and they get to have a voice in how this process is deemed or even to change.
Holly, is this only open to tribal members of the Navajo Nation, or is it any tribe?
So only our lending program for the NSBCI, Navajo Small Business Credit Initiative, that's only for majority Navajo small businesses to interact with, and nonprofits. Our other work is open to any Indigenous business owner. And I've honestly have worked with individuals who are not from my reservation, not Navajo themselves, but we do know that there's limitations of our resources, that they may not be culturally relevant to, the policies or even to the compliances in their nation that they're trying to start their business. And we try to work and build relationships with those individuals that, if it's their economic development per se, or even to their business center that's within their, tribal lands, we try to essentially build those relationships so that if it does come to a point that, we're stuck in trying to help them or refer them to relevant resources, we make sure that we have a network to support those individuals in their areas for further questions and things like that. But honestly, anybody can interact with our resources. I just think, if anything, you might have a harder time relating to some of it, but I think our resources are open to any Indigenous entrepreneur. I've coached people from up in Alaska to Washington to individuals in North Dakota and Montana before. And if anything, we have a network of Native professionals in those areas as well, too, that are happy to also take on them as services and things like that. So I think, if anything, we just say that our resources are mostly relevant to the Southwest-based Indigenous entrepreneurs, but you can definitely access our resources if you're any kind of Indigenous business owner. Like, we're kind of very happy we open our doors to you and want you guys to engage with our resources, because we want to make sure that we're not recreating the wheel, but instead we're sharing sometimes the trials and tribulations that we go through, and also to making sure that we're all becoming a lot more aware of how we can change the system to better the Indigenous businesses that are growing within it.
Well, you are totally so passionate. So I know that I was looking at the numbers of Change Labs. You've done 69 startups have graduated. You've done workshops and funding. Do you have a special or a favorite? And I don't know, maybe it's like one of your favorite children or one of your favorite relatives. Do you have a favorite business or something that you've done or that you've worked with?
Oh, that is very hard. I will say I don't really have as you say, like a favorite child or a favorite business, but instead it's more of this is kind of advice to entrepreneurs that are out there who are either hesitant when working with Change Labs or seeing where they fit well. I think, if anything, I love to work with those who are skeptical of this process, just because I see so much growth in those. And so those who have been through our incubator program, or even to our public-facing services of complementary coaching, I think those individuals who've been extremely hesitant, or even to extremely inquisitive, I love working with those entrepreneurs. And I think, if anything, too, it makes me better at my job, and also, too, it makes me better at sourcing more resources. And so, and those individuals, honestly, are, I love to see how much they've grown through Change Labs' resources. So, but also, too, I think it's a greater conversation that Indigenous entrepreneurship may be very different than a Western concept of entrepreneurship, because what I truly believe as a coach is that I'm creating a decisive entrepreneur. I'm not creating a successful business, because everyone's definition of success is different, but I'm creating a decisive entrepreneur, because after they've left the resources of me or Change Labs or whatever it may be that they're doing, of taking advice and feedback, they're kind of the ultimate person to make the decision. So if anything, I think Decides Entrepreneurs is what we're doing as coaches at Change Labs, because we're not called consultants, we're called coaches for a reason. And then also too, I think Indigenous entrepreneurship is a household conversation. It's not limited to being 18 years or older or anything like that. I think if anything, we have a unique kind of perspective in building our resources that we welcome, the whole household, whether you're an elder, whether you're, the sole breadwinner of your family, even to children. Like we're very consciously aware that this is a household conversation of entrepreneurship, and the pursuit of entrepreneurship is a household conversation. And so we welcome that into our doors. And so therefore, I'm very grateful to have been able to work with many different types of entrepreneurs that fall within that bracket. So I don't have a favorite one, I will say that. And instead, I think my favorite one is one who is always asking me questions, and also too, one that knows that growth is inevitable, and that means that change is inevitable as well too.
Change Labs is so impressive. I always take a look at your website, and then I do follow you on social media, and learning and liking everything that you're doing, and I think it's so important. But we're pretty much out of time, but I wanted to find out, how can our listeners find more information about Change Labs? I know you're coaching, and how can they contact you?
So you can follow us on social media. For Instagram, it's at Native Startup. And then for any other platform, you just have to put in Change Labs with the S at the end, because I think some people put Changing Labs, but it's Change Labs. So, or even to just nativestartup.org.
And then if somebody wanted to reach you, Holly, can they just do an email like under Contact Us, or just go through Change Labs?
Yeah, if you have any specific questions for me, you can reach me at hello@nativestartup.org.
Awesome. Holly, thanks so much. I hope people check out Change Labs. I think it's such a great opportunity for Indigenous entrepreneurs to get started, get going on their journey, and do some really cool stuff and make a difference. So thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
Up next, Susan Levy chats with Valentina Andrew, executive producer and host of Tohono O'odham Young Voices podcast. Support for KRDP 90.7 FM comes in part from Native Health, with 2 locations in Phoenix: 4041 North Central Avenue, Building C, near the corner of Central Avenue and Indian School Road, and at 8800 North 22nd Avenue. Native Health is also located in Mesa at 777 West Southern Avenue, near the corner of Southern Avenue and Extension Road. Native Health also provides primary medical services at the new Walloop Health Center, 6725 South Priest Drive in Guadalupe. Native Health's patient enrollment specialists can help you enroll, renew, or update your access information. This can be done in person, on the phone, or via Zoom. It's fast, easy, and can make a difference in keeping your health care coverage. For more information, call 602-285-9492.
Welcome back to Native Talk Arizona, Native Health's Native American Cultural Affairs program, presented by Native Health and KRDP 90.7 FM. I'm Susan Levy. Tohono O'odham Young Voices podcast shares local tribal events, cultural perspectives, history, and stories from Native community members, elders, and youth. On the phone to tell us more is Valentina Andrew, executive producer and host. Valentina, welcome to Native Talk Arizona.
Thank you so much for the invite. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I listened to your podcast, and so impressive. In fact, I was telling Javier this morning how much I think you are such a tremendous host. So welcome, and I can't wait to hear about your story. But tell us a little bit about yourself, your journey, and how you got started with this.
My name is Valentina Andrew, but a lot of people know me as just Tina. I am from the Thon Nation and grew up on the res. And later in life, my family moved to Tucson, Arizona. And I was about a teenager then, but of course, went on, got a higher education, and that's kind of where my journey as far as like networking and kind of thinking outside of the box really started for me. And in 2016, while here in Tucson, and I decided, it would be great to have some kind of platform to share Native stories, especially our story as Autumn. And there was a lot happening in 2016. And so I just felt it was a need for us to take our narratives back and tell our own stories and let folks see us in a more contemporary light and hear directly from community members about how we feel about certain things and topics and then the lives that we share or we live today. So that's kind of when I really started to get into podcasting. So this podcast has been around that long.
So it's been, what'd you say, 2016, so 9 years. I really, really loved, you just sounded so warm and inviting, and your guests really responded well. I don't know. I was very impressed. I listened to a lot of stuff, and I just thought, wow, this is an amazing podcast. So tell me.
Thank you.
Since you've been doing it, it's called the Young Voices podcast. And what does the Young Voices part of that mean?
At the time, I was thinking like it could be teenagers, it could be young adults, it could be people in their 30s and their 40s. So kind of getting a broad range of the term young, just because I felt like there wasn't enough being heard from people in that age range. And I didn't really want it to be too specific, but at the same time, young voices, because, over the years, we've done workshops with youth groups. So really introducing young people to this platform, this type of equipment, and it's just kind of giving them an idea of like the possibilities of what this could do and what it has done for me as far as podcasting. So, young is kind of like a broad term when it comes to the podcast.
Okay. All right. So how do you come up with topics and guests? It's always as since we do ours every week and we've got between 1 and 3 guests every week, it's hard sometimes. Do you find the same thing, or do you just have like a huge list and you're just kind of working down it and checking people off the list?
It's like up and down, and it depends on my personal life, how busy I am. But right now, it's like surprisingly, I actually do have content that I've been sitting on that I do need to edit, and I just need to get these stories out there. But I've been so busy lately that I really haven't had the time to do that, because editing audio and creating these interviews that require editing and insertion of background music and just kind of thinking of like what's the best way to tell the story, to make it flow well, to make it transition well, to edit it enough to where folks can, like, the story just kind of, people don't get lost in the story, right? So that takes time and skill to do something like that. But oftentimes it's really, the consistency is a lot with a podcast. And I tell folks that who want to start a podcast, is like, if you want to, then it's best to have some consistency, because folks listen to whatever you put out there, and they're going to want to hear more of that stuff.
We hope.
So,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We hope. But it's like, it's like, whoever I can reach out to in a month, maybe it'll be one person, maybe it'll be 2 people, and it really just depends on people's time. So I'm pretty flexible with the podcast.
It is a lot harder, I think, than people realize, as you're alluding to. I mean, yes, Like Javier does a tremendous job running the soundboard every week, and then he's got to edit, and it's hours and hours. And ours has to be loaded because it's an FM as well as a podcast. And people don't understand it's the amount of time that it goes into to do the research and writing questions and the emails. We had somebody come in who worked here, and she's like, I think we should take the podcast in a different direction, and we should just have a bunch of women just sitting around the table chatting every week. And I'm like, okay, cool, go ahead, try it. You come on in and you can try that. I said, it's a lot harder and it's a lot more time than you think. You just can't sit there and content. But anyway, we're going to talk about you. Sorry about that. All right. So,
No worries.
all right. So how long does it generally take you time? So you say, you reach out to them, and then do you do research on the person and then send them questions, or is yours kind of, it sounded to me like you did, because you did such a great job. It didn't sound to me like you do that kind of, more like I have questions and I've thought about it. Yours sounded more free form and very warm, which is what I liked about it. Is that how you do it?
Pretty much. I mean, as long as I feel confident enough in the information that I know about this person, that I know about the work that they do. So research is definitely something that I do when interviewing someone. And really, it's not about me asking them questions. It's about them telling their story. So I want them to feel free to be open about whatever that is. But of course, if other questions come up during the interview, I'm open to asking those questions. So it's kind of like, what's the vibe like? What are they feeling? What's the tone? Do I feel, should I ask this question? Should I not ask this question? So it's also be respectful of the individual and what they're most comfortable with. So that's what helps, especially when it's an in-person interview. And I prefer more in-person rather than like over
the phone,
like a virtual.
Yeah.
That's more helpful when it comes to interviewing people, because you kind of have a better sense of who they are as a person, and it really helps to provide the best narration of their story.
Totally agree. I totally agree. I think it's hard, and I don't know if your guests, do they get nervous?
Yeah. They do.
You feel, at least for us, you feel so bad. I mean, I know people are uncomfortable. They don't do this all the time, and they come in and, I feel bad. Sometimes we have people really sweating and shaking and just terrified.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, no, it's really easy. Just look at me and we're just going to have a conversation. I mean, it sounds like you're very good at putting people at ease. And I really honestly mean that, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I really thought yours was one of the best. Just the way
Thank you. Wow.
you presented and really so put people at ease in the way they spoke to you. And I don't know, I was so impressed when I listened to it. But so I know that you're focusing on tribal members from TO, but if somebody wanted to come on or was interested after they listened to the TO Young Voices podcast, are you only taking TO tribal members, or would it be anybody that has a story that they wanted to share?
For me, it's like, as long as they're like Native, Indigenous, or maybe they work and have worked in Native, Indigenous communities for a long time, they have to know the history, they have to know the community. It has to be, somebody, whether it's Native or non-Native, but as long as they've had a long-standing relationship, they really understand the community and the topic that they're going to talk about, and as long as it relates to O'odham or Native Indigenous communities, that's fine. Or maybe even if they're from a different tribe, that's also fine.
All right. So I also want to ask you, and I don't know if I can ask you this, it's probably like asking about your favorite children. Do you have a favorite interview that you've done or a favorite topic?
Let's see. Wow. So I would have to say I kind of,
And you don't have to answer that, because it's like when people ask me, do I have a favorite child, one of my favorite kids, it's like, nah, no.
I kind of think one of the most, like, maybe topic is with Dr. Paulette Steves. She worked in the field of archaeology. She's also an Indigenous woman, but she just had a lot of really powerful things to say on episode 37. And it was just a really good learning experience as an Indigenous archaeologist who's done some really groundbreaking work in Native communities in her research and her books that she puts out as far as like data. She really goes in depth and for the fight for like how long evidence shows that Native Indigenous people have been in this area, and it's longer than other archaeologists have said. So it's just a really interesting topic, and I think that was probably one of my favorites, and we called it Decolonizing Archaeology.
Oh, wow. And you said it was number 37, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think the one you've most recently done is 47?
I believe so.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, 47.
Okay. I'll have to check that one out. I didn't listen to that one. And really interesting because I know the archaeology goes back a couple thousand years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have to check that one out. All right. So do you have any other interesting stories about the podcast that you've done? Because you're doing a great interview. I love this, and I love learning everything you do and how you do it. It's totally different than what I do or what we do. And but any other war stories from like the things that you've done?
I think that it's just kind of like humbling times, right? When I first started the podcast, it was just me going to a pawn shop and buying, whatever equipment I thought, like a USB microphone, and kind of figuring out, well, how do I do this? But one great thing that I feel pretty good about, is that when I started to really kind of get a better handle on what podcasting is, editing, I then had the opportunity to take another idea similar to TL Young Voices, but making it a little broader, and going to the local radio station here, community radio station here in Tucson, coming to them with this idea of like, I want to start a podcast here, and I want to call it Cultivating Indigenous Voices, because I wanted to include all Native Indigenous voices that are here in Tucson, doing local work, doing great things. And I've been able to do that. And it's something that is still running. It's also a long-running podcast I've been doing since probably 2017. And it's also where I work now. So it's been a really cool journey to expand what I've been able to do with TL Young Voices to a local radio station where we can also archive stories on their website and broadcast it on air locally. So that's just been really cool.
Okay, so now I don't have a ton of time. Now I'm all right. So now we definitely want to talk about that, and I have like 2 minutes. Okay, so Valentina, or Tina. All right, so it's Cultivating Indigenous Voices. So this airs on FM in Tucson or AM?
Yes, it does. FM.
FM. Okay,
yeah.
What station is that one?
Mm-hmm. So it is 91.3 FM.
Okay.
And it's based here in Tucson, or you can stream it online at kxci.org. You can find the show there, and it gets broadcasted bi-weekly on Sundays at 4 p.m. It's a 30-minute interview that I do, and then there's also like a mini form of that gets broadcasted every 2 weeks. So you hear like a little short snippet of that interview that you're going to be hearing on a Sunday sometime.
That's pretty awesome. Okay. And that's Cultivating Indigenous Voices.
Yes.
Okay. Out of Tucson, and that's FM. Okay. Now, and then we've got, so I know we don't have a ton of time. So we've got, the TL Young Voices, which you can find streaming on most platforms, right? I saw it on Spotify and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the other one, Cultivating Indigenous Voices, is on, what is it?
KXCI.org.
KXCI.org. And then it airs on Sunday afternoons at 4.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So if somebody wanted to contact you about both of these, the radio show and or the podcast, how would they contact you?
For Tohono Young Voices, you can simply email toyoungvoices@gmail.com. And for KXCI, email is very simple as well, tina@kxci.org.
Oh my gosh, you are a wealth of knowledge, and you have the best radio and podcast voice ever. So
Thank you.
thanks for coming on to Native Talk Arizona. I appreciate it. I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate it, and I hope to meet you sometime. So thanks for coming on.
That'd be amazing. I appreciate you reaching out as well, and for the opportunity to share the podcast story.
Thank you for listening to Native Talk Arizona, presented by Native Health and 90.7 FM KRDP. Our executive producer is Susan Levy. Sound engineer is Javier Quiroga. We hope you will tune in again next week. If you have any questions, please reach us at nativetalkaz@listen2krdp.com.